I think the challenge was...
Turn your podcast into a TV show.
Oh, I love this.
For just $80 per hour, you can have your host anywhere in the world.
The mandates are off in America here.
With graphics tailored to your show.
Can I just dispense with all of the emotional kind of foreplay and just jump in? Do you mind?
Video Podcast Services is run by media professionals who know how to make your content stand out from the crowd. Go to videopodcast.online.
Well, he's always dominated headlines, but lately Kyle Sandilands is absolutely everywhere. Ever since he had that major fallout with co-host Jackie O, Kyle has lost his job, faced off against his old employers in court, and now he's launching his own streaming service this Monday. It's fair to say he's had an eventful 6 months, so it's long overdue that we had a chat. Kyle Sandilands, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Hello, mate. Good to speak to you. You may not remember this, but I spoke to you first when I was still doing Idol on the way home from set one day, and you're also a bookend you. So I spoke to you first, and I'm also speaking to you last. You're the last person I'll speak to before the show goes live on Monday.
Well, that's very nice. No, Kyle, I don't remember that at all. I haven't dined out on that in the slightest. So, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I know you don't drink, but happy Tipsy Thursday to you. It's Tipsy Thursday.
Thank you, sir. Now, I don't normally drink, even though I do look like a raving alcoholic because I've got the blood pressure. But Russell Crowe sent me, Russell was on the phone to me quite a lot in the early days when this whole radio show fell apart.
Yeah.
But he bought me this for my birthday too. Now, I'm not a big drinker, and it's still even got the seal on it.
Oh,
so only for you, because you're a little grog monster. Well, not a grog monster. That might be a bit hard. That's a bit hard.
How much of that do you drink?
Oh, do you think someone would take the condom off this first? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna get this is tequila. Oh, did you hear that?
Ooh, yeah.
From Russell. So I don't know. I'm not even sure how much tequila's. Oh, look at that. How much should I drink?
Well,
I shouldn't get too much because
drink up, and we might get some interesting answers.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers
to a new beginning, a new dawn for radio.
And lots of success.
Oh my! I thought that was going to rip my throat apart. That was so smooth. Whatever this is.
Lovely. Hey,
cheers, Russell.
Cheers, Russell. Before we get on to you, I want to talk about some news that's happened in the last 24 hours. I don't know if you've seen that Perez Hilton video. He's been.
Oh my God! I watched it. I watched it live happen. So yeah, Bruno it came up on a feed. We were in the office here with all the team, all the new staff. And Bruno goes, oh my God, Perez is having a meltdown online. Now, I've been friends, industry friends with Perez for 25 years, since he used to do the little jizz marks. He used to do all the little dirty little jizz marks and all that rubbish. And I was shocked with hacking himself up with a knife and talking about doing it for the kids. I was hugely distressed. And at first, you wonder what you see online, is this even true?
Yeah, you think it's a joke, right?
Yeah, or you think that it's AI or something, but once you a few seconds into looking at it, you were like, oh my God, this is serious. And he's saying, I'm doing it for the kids. And it was loose. And apparently the police swarmed the place and he's now in hospital recovering. But shocking for everyone. This stuff just goes out and, before you know it, half the world's already seen it live.
I think it shows us that no matter what the perception is as far as success goes, and he, as I said, he was on your show many, many times. You and Jackie spoke to him. You develop a relationship. Even I understand you're saying it's industry work. I get that. But it's still got to hit you when you see someone that you've had some kind of connection with go through something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's been at my house in America as well. Right. So while it is an industry friendship and I wouldn't say like he's part of my bestie crew, but you have interviewed him multiple times. He's aware who I am. I'm aware who he is, obviously. So that was obviously a shocking cry for help. And hopefully he's in the hospital now and he gets all the help that he needs, because he's quite a decent person, but obviously struggling with something there. So all the best to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to you, the last 6 months have been a whirlwind. I want you to stop for a moment, okay? Clear your mind and tell me the first thing that comes to mind when you think about everything that's happened since February?
I instantly just pictured Jackie's face, to tell you the truth, when you said that. So I tried to clear the mind, which is hard because there's a lot in my mind at the moment.
Of course.
But a really good friend, my closest friend, Simon, you might have seen him mentioned in the newspapers over the years, convicted drug smuggler Simon Main, they call him, because of one conviction that he got back 20 years ago or something. But anyway, you root one goat, you're forever known as the goat rooter. So you are what you are. He ran into Jackie up at Bondi Junction the other day and pretty much walked around a corner into each other. And Jackie knows who he is because he was my best man at my wedding and stuff. And Barry Crocker's son, Simon is. And they ran face to face. And he said, after they bumped into each other, she looked at him and went, "Oh, Simon," and just put her arms around him and, flat hands into his back and held him. And he just said, "How are you?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And he said, "Are you sure?" And she went, Yeah. It's a tough thing she's going through, a legal battle, trying to defend herself against a corporate giant. So it's not easy. I chose to sidestep that particular issue because there's no guarantee when you're in court with anyone, regardless of how right you think that you are and how righteous you want to be and get the truth out. That could have been 2 years that I was caught up in court. So, and I knew the chairman of ARN quite well, so I rang him and said, "Do you really want to drag all this shit through court for another year? Then there'll be a settlement, then you'll appeal, and we're talking 2 years and $4 million for me in the hole to the lawyers." And I was still happy to work. I didn't really want to. I see that as because my lawyers were like, you can get between 35 and 45 million. Realistically, we wanted the 80, but it peels down. You go for more and you get halfway. And I thought, do I really want to have no job and be sitting around at home for the next 2 years earning no money and spending millions of dollars to try and get free money? And that's just not really in my DNA. So I had a friendship with the chairman, even though the business side sort of went a bit pear-shaped, and I just rang him up out of the blue and said, do you want to sort this out, or I'm happy to go all the way, but I'd really rather get back to work. And that's where the talks began between the chairman and myself.
You're talking about Hamish McLennan, and you mentioned the fact that I had your first interview when all this was going down. We actually spoke the night before ARN terminated your contract. You were you were on your way back. Now, I originally only had my version. Now, thanks to At Home with Kyle, we now saw what happened in the car with Bruno. Yeah. I want to play you that part because you made a very interesting comment about Hamish McLennan, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Have a look at the clip. Kyle, how are you feeling? This has been horrible for you, I can imagine. One moment you're doing the show and next your world has fallen apart.
Oh, no. My world has not fallen apart. I've still got a contract. That hasn't changed. And until they advise me of such, I'm still more than happy to show up there tomorrow to do the radio show. Although we're not sure that that's going to happen since we haven't heard anything yet. So, but hopefully I'll hear by midnight, and then we'll know where we all stand. But I want to get back to work. The listeners want me to get back there. I've had many clients call me to say that they want me back on there. So we'll just have to see whether we're all singing from the same hymn book, or whether they're. I'm willing to execute the contract as signed, as promised. Same chairman signed it. Same chairman wants to take it away. So we'll see what happens.
Now, Rob,
that was a really interesting comment because, and I picked up on that immediately because you made the very valid point. And I'll declare I really like Hamish. I worked for him at Channel 10.
Yeah, I still like Hamish.
You made the point. He signed you up, and now he's the same guy trying to get rid of you.
Well, it's tough at the top in the chairman's chair, and as much as I respect Hamish, friendship-wise and in a business sense as well, he was left with pretty much no choice. So what I didn't find out until recently is that the commercial value never really recovered after the COVID discounts that all the radio and TV went through, and to get those rates back up, and that was 2020. So or 2020, whenever it was, I can't even recall, 2022, they never really recovered. So they discounted the commercials so much, and everyone did it. Everyone was guilty of it. The television networks, the newspapers, the radio stations, they all went to ground and just trying to claw in any amount of money they could. And they never fully recovered from that. So the rate card never bounced back from COVID. Now, whether that's with all the TV and radio networks, I'm not sure. But yeah, the mathematics just didn't make sense. What I would have preferred is they came to the table as a business partner, because we weren't employees, and said, hey, this is the gigantic mountain that we have in the way. What are we going to do? Because like, as soon as I got terminated, I pivoted immediately into this platform, and I would have thought people at that level of business in media with that much knowledge around the boardroom table could have pivoted themselves, but little old me around the coffee table with the joint figured this out just by myself. And
Well, in the
I've
interest
been
of
lucky enough to manage
declaring,
to.
you
Sorry?
and I went to ARN a few years ago talking about a streaming
Yes.
service.
Yeah, well, you were the forefather of thought in media. You saw the writing on the wall years before people in the media saw it. Like, you were almost like a psychic prediction of the future. You had marked out where you see things going in streaming services. I think you and I had a big discussion quite a few years ago that
We did.
all media will probably turn into an audio-visual delivery ball that will go out through multiple platforms. And, you know, looking back at those conversations we had, you were like a psychic medium into the future. You sort of
That's
knew
all right.
where it
I'll
was
just
going.
take a 3% share. I'm not greedy.
Well, you can work that out with Bruno, but you saw where the world was going, and we had you had a great platform idea, maybe a little bit too early for other people to realise the genius of what you were, where you saw the media landscape going. But when you're in the pit and you're in the dug hole like you were every day with your media career, you get a sense of where people are going. You see how people are getting their news delivered, and you see their normal mainstream stuff slipping away to digital platforms. But then the digital platforms often don't execute the commercial aspect as well as the free-to-air stuff do. So I'm always skipping those ads when I'm looking at newspaper stuff. Skip. No idea what they're trying to service me. I'm just looking at waiting for the skip. So I really don't think a lot of the digital stuff commercially is working yet. The delivery system isn't quite right. And because of the activist group that was against me for the last couple of years, I had to sidestep commercialism altogether. So no ads at all on our platform, but there will be sponsorship integration. So I just had a meeting upstairs just prior to this interview with the Aussie Skips, and they've decided to pull their money from the radio network and invest it with us into contesting. And so the loyalty to some people, some of the clients, they don't get bullied by left-wing activist nutcases. They are happy to advertise where their people are. And we've got a lot of tradies and a lot of mums and a lot of females. Strangely enough, the activist group is about, we're about the rights of females, but 68% of the people that are signed up to the app already are females. So they don't speak for all females, they just speak for the left-wing lunatic, if you don't agree with us, we'll deplatform you brigade. And, those people are on notice. The world's waking up to your bullshit, and you can't expect everyone to just believe what you believe. That's not society. That's communism. Society is where everyone's free to give their opinions and their ideas. And guess what? Sometimes, just sometimes, you can learn something from someone with a different opinion than you. I've learned so much over my years by just shutting up and opening my ears and hearing someone's true opinion and how it's affected their life. And often it will change my opinion on something I was quite staunch on, hearing it through someone else's lens. If you've got any empathy, you can't help but layer their feelings and their thoughts into your own to make you more of a whole person.
There's a lot in there. I want to do a quick tangent. If you and Bruno want another business, because you have access to advertisers, start a business to integrate commercials into video podcasts like McKnight Tonight. We don't have a sales team. There are lots of video podcasters like myself out there who are growing. We're getting about 1,000 new subscribers every week. We're small bickies. We're nowhere near what you guys
that's
are doing.
fantastic. Gluing that's a substantial number to be gluing onto the platform. Like they're fantastic numbers, especially when other traditional media are on the decline. To see all these people like yourself that have had so much media training and have really formed the media we see today on television. You're a huge part of what we see on television today, what you did, what you introduced, the programs you were championing and managing. They've all done, mate. That's all part of what TV's landscape is. But you're right. You know, new
honestly,
media,
there is
new
a business
delivery
there
is
for
better.
someone.
There is.
And, you know, if you get all the podcasters and the videocasters, they need integration. They need someone to sell those spots at reasonable commissions and everything like that. I'm telling you, there is an absolute business there. But let's go back to the mad effing witches. They have been smart in the way that they target advertisers, and advertisers have been pretty weak and capitulating to them. You know, Michael Stevenson said it cost ARN between 20 and 25 million in lost revenue because they targeted you.
How strange that that's what he's going to market with. But when I sat with him, he said most of it's been redistributed amongst the group, and we're probably down around 7 million. So maybe he's got different stories for different folks. But most of them, maybe 20 million got taken out of the breakfast show, but most of it redistributed amongst other parts of the radio station, albeit at terribly discounted COVID rates, which they haven't managed to get back up yet.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the struggle for them. You know, I'd say don't run full inventory at 30% of the rate. Run less ads at 100% of the rate and wait till people glue back on. Like
and it's a better experience for the listener.
You can't run a full inventory of commercials where you've got 6 minutes of ad breaks, every ad break, and you're only making 30% budget. That's a disaster in anyone's book.
I agree with that, but that's that thinking, Kyle, that doesn't appear to be in the media industry. Because if you ran fewer commercials but charged the full rate, those advertisers are going to get better benefit because they're not in a cluttered environment.
And that's exactly what we've done with our thing, our partnerships that have come on. Like we've got nearly $2 million worth of subscriptions in the bank already, and the show hasn't started. It won't start till Monday. There are a few teasers on there, like the at home with and what happened behind the scenes and the building the show. But yeah, really happy with the bank balance at the moment. A lot of people did say, oh, you know, it's hard for some people to spend $99 for the year. And I said, well, that's understandable. But when you're building a business and you're employing people that were retrenched from the major networks, so, you know, these people have jobs and, you know, they're my team. I want to look after them. At the end of the day, like it's about making sure people that have supported you for the last 10 years, my staff, that I support them when they're at their worst, and they were at their worst. Some were getting engaged, some had just had a baby. Everyone was in the middle of their life. This was everyone's 10-year plan, and that sort of came unstuck. And I understand why. I was disappointed that they didn't come to me and try and get me on board to try and figure out the problem. And they did it what I think is the weaklings way. They pulled the pin. Now, a fool looks back at history, and a fool would realise when they pulled the pin on us over at Today FM when they said, oh, look, we think we're only going to do another year. We think that's all you've got left in you. Well, those people all lost their jobs because they made the wrong choice. And we went over to KISS and had a hugely success. We took all the listeners, all of them. We didn't leave one behind. Everyone came. So it's very quick these people forget, but these people all came from TV that made the decision. And they really do believe in TV sales land that, oh, any old clown can read the audio cue, which really is true. But a radio
is
show
very different.
It's a different beast. You know that. It's almost like a friendship. And people are devastated that even very happy that I'm coming back on, but are devastated that the friendship between Jackie and I seems to have imploded. Now, is that forever? I don't think it is.
I want you to take a drink. Have a drink, Kyle, because we need to talk about this.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Water? Not more tequila.
Yeah,
I'm going
more
to go and pick
tequila.
up a free station vehicle soon that I've just managed to secure. Looks like Alfie will be doing the driving.
Yeah, well, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Jackie,
Yeah.
are you in a bit of denial about what has happened in your relationship with her?
Well, that's possible because there's a big, giant question mark over what the fuck is actually going on here. Because to find out through management that Jackie wanted to change shows, that is, I just refused to believe it, even though I've seen it, it's written. Jackie, her manager, and her lawyer were all on this Zoom call with the station management, with station management's lawyers, and they pretty much apparently said she's not willing to work with me anymore, which to me, that's not the Jackie I know. So she would have no qualms ever in her life telling me, shut the fuck up, you did something wrong, what's going on? It was a 50-50 equal relationship. And people might have listened to the show and thought, oh, he's a bully. Listen, they were sanctioned behaviours that we discussed years and years ago. She said there is no line. And if you do cross a line, or if I cross a line, Jackie's saying to me, we'll let each other know. But let's just go for it. Let's realise we're not here to attack each other. But if it's funny, say it. And that's what we've always done. So to find out that maybe she wasn't feeling that anymore, and maybe she had a problem communicating that with me, that's all possible. And I'll always resort to, I'm not saying that is misleading anyone, because I do believe what she felt is real. It's just a very big surprise to me and the other 20 staff that we had working around us all day, every day. That's a shock to everyone. Like, no one can really compute it. So time will tell. Once she goes through the court case and she's able to speak freely, because we have communicated loosely, not in detail about the actuality of the fallout, but mainly just checking in on each other's welfare to make sure she's made sure I'm okay and I've made sure she's okay, maybe 7 or 8 times. But I don't want to, get into a to and fro with her on text about why'd you say this and why'd this happen and did I upset you? That will come in the future. I'm sure of it. Once she's gone through her court proceedings, which is totally understandable.
Where did it go wrong? Is it her manager getting involved, Gemma? Because we see communications, because it's all in the papers. We got
Sure.
full access to it now. Because there are communications where she says Jackie can't work with Kyle. And Jackie says that. Now, look, I've managed talent, and you will sometimes get things like that. I can't work with her. And it's a tanty and it can be managed out and all that kind of stuff.
And we've all had those. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that as well. Like, I can sometimes, I'd say to DB, who's the person she complained to as well, not official complaints, mind you, text messages with someone that we've known for 28 years. Like, we've known DB and his work with us for 28 years. This is like a family. It's not like you work in a David Jones and you've met Cheryl there. It's so much more connected and integral. And I'd bitch to DB about her too. Like, he'd be like, oh, what's with Jackie today? She didn't seem very interested. And I'd be like, yeah, welcome to my life. She hasn't been that interested for weeks. And sometimes, and Jackie and I organised this with each other years ago when she was doing Pop Stars. That's how far back this goes. When she was doing Pop Stars and I wasn't doing TV, just the radio, I did a lot more of the heavy lifting on the radio show. And then when she finished TV, it'd be more equal, 50-50 sort of heavy lifting. And then when
I will be honest, there is a perception that she was doing the heavy lifting for a lot of years in that.
She was. The perception is true. She was in the hot 30 days and the drive days and the early. And
when you were in LA?
First year. Yeah. Well, when I was in LA, yeah. But she liked it. Like, I don't need to micromanage everyone. Jackie needed, for her own peace of mind, to have an overview of everything from start to finish for her to feel comfortable executing the show. That's her way of doing it. I like to execute the show like a listener, hearing everything for the first time. So if someone's explaining something and I don't get it, how's Mary in the suburbs ever going to get it? You know what I mean? So I like to hear things fresh, and it just worked out that way. It's a different structure, but and over the last few years, since we moved to the new building, I would say, from North Ryde to the to North Sydney, she was not as engaged, but it didn't bother me because from time to time I'd be less engaged, she'd be less engaged, depending on what else was going on in our life. I had a new child, we were in a new building, the show was huge, we just signed up a new massive deal. Everything was rock and roll, it was all off and running, only to fall apart from the inside out, which no one really saw coming.
Do you feel betrayed?
Oh, that's the Uber Eats. Sorry, mate.
Do you feel betrayed?
I have felt that. I felt, why would you not come to me? Like, why would you use some dumb lawyer and some pretend best friend that you claim is your bestie for 20 years that really we've hardly known her most of the time? And Jackie and Gemma may have been way closer than I was with Gemma. But really, after Jackie came back from the rehab stint, claiming that her best friend Gemma saved her life, I was like, best friend? Like, we barely know this chick. Like, we've known her for a long time, but there's no way she's anyone's best friend. So whether, Gemma and Jackie had a deeper bond than anyone ever knew for 20 years, that's still possible. And maybe they did become very close towards the end. But that whole thing has gone to shit because, like, what a terrible like way to manage, or the legal representation of someone to put them in the position where they're going to lose a $80 million contract over what really boils down to a bad mood. It's unbelievable to me, and it's very sad. And a lot of people's lives were affected based on that decision. And normally, Jackie, any issue that she would have with me or I've had with her over the years, and there's been half a dozen, we would deal with it with each other with the utmost respect and very much an open ear and an open empathy to each other. Because what I might not care about, she might feel is very important, and vice versa. And that has happened over the years from time to time. And we've always managed to be very respectful of each other. But 2 weeks prior to the radio show falling apart, Jackie did say to me, I've ended the Besties podcast, I'm not doing it anymore. And I was like, oh, why not? And she said, I'm just not doing anything that I'm not interested in anymore. I'm not going to be a people pleaser. And I was like, thank God, because management at the radio station said to me, we're paying her $10 million a year. And she's saying hardly anything on the radio show, but spewing out all this stuff on the podcast, and she hasn't even done a deal with us for the podcast. And I was like, well, that's on you for having a shit deal and not having that in the original deal. But they were dirty of it. And then they wanted
Which I
me
get,
to
when
deal
you're
with
paying
it.
someone
I
$10
get
million.
I totally get it. Don't get me wrong. But maybe in reflection, she was not enjoying the tenure of the show or the topics. But she's never been one to be a wallflower and not have her say. Her say has always been highly respected and will always be highly respected. So she's still, regardless of what's gone on over the past 6 months, I still feel very close to her, and I would still die for her in any way, shape or form.
It's interesting what you say about the Besties podcast, because she said to you she's not going to be a people pleaser anymore.
Yeah.
That obviously related to you as well, as we
It
now
did, but
know.
I didn't pick up. See, I'm not great at the hints. I don't know what you're like in relationships, but I'm renowned to be not good on picking up the hints.
I can see it from afar.
Write them out if need be, but I'm not going to get the hints. I like
Tell me what you want me to do.
Yes, please. All we want. Write a list and pin it to the fridge if need be, but communicate the problems, because men, we don't know. We're not good at picking up on little hints. What we're good at is, hey, asshole, stop doing this because I feel like this.
Yes.
Ding, it registers. Men and women do communicate differently, but I can't blame it on an XY and an XX problem, because Jackie and I were very communicative all the way through, always had a very similar brain for radio. We very rarely clashed. And a lot of that was performance. Like, not saying that we faked anything, but sometimes I may not have an opinion on something, but I will always give one, and not necessarily for the affirmative or the positive or take one stance or another. But sometimes I don't give a fuck about something, but I'll still say something about it.
You ramped it up.
You got to. Like, you're expected to. Like, I'm 75% my real self, and 25% is a little bit exaggerated because we're expected to perform. So, but you'll still feel my mood each day. A lot of radio announcers perform so much that if they're having the worst day of their life, they're still like, good morning, what a beautiful day, good morning, everyone. Fake. I can't do the fake. I'd rather say, well, I'm not really happy about being here today, but, you know, I'm committed to being here. So, in fact, we're all in it together. Is anyone else having a shit day? Rather than fake, all is good, all is sunshine. The realism is what made our show different. And with the new program, it's going to be probably even more real because you won't have to watch your P's and Q's, and you won't be having to listen to Morse code to figure out what I'm trying to say in between the censorship beeps, and no commercials.
I am going to get to the new show. I'm not trying to
segue you there. I'm just
no, you're trying to lead me. But still on Jackie, I have been in a slightly similar position when I got sacked from Studio 10.
Yes, that was a disaster too, wasn't it? I remember those days. Big mistake.
Thank you. I wasn't fishing, but thank you.
No, I know you're not a fisher. I don't think you've ever picked up a fishing rod in your life, really. Look at you. I can't see you threading a worm on a hook in Bribey Island Passage somewhere. It's not your vibe.
No, not my vibe at all. I'm like a bull in a china shop, more likely. The thing that gets me is that she had obviously been building up some kind of resentment about whether it's her life choices, not being happy with the show, whatever it is. You've had this piece of normal radio that in any other day would be a headline, and then you guys would be back at it the following day, but it's blown up. There must be a level of PTSD going on with you with the way that everything has fallen apart. And I know that you are keeping yourself busy with the new show and all the other things that you're doing, but there must be moments where you go, how the fuck did I get here? 6 months ago, I was the number one show. I had the co-host I'd been with forever and would keep doing the show with her forever. And in the space of a day, she's gone.
Would die. I would lay down and still to this day die for Jackie. So just so there's no confusion there, I've been annoyed with her and disappointed and confused and saddened and all of the above and many other emotions. But I still would die for her. Like, there's a love and a respect there. And even if, and I don't believe it's true, but even if she doesn't have the same empathy towards me anymore, that's fine. I will still have great memories. Even here in the building, our office, I walked in and some of the staff had pulled down any of the plaques that had both of us on it. And I was like, where's all the plaques? And they're like, oh, we thought we'd just do a clean sweep and took down anything that Jackie was on. And I said, no, that's something I'm very proud of. 30 years of a great brand and a great friendship and a great show. We're not going to turn our backs on. That is part of my history, and put the plaques back up on the wall.
But what I'm coming back to is the idea, and I hear everything that you're saying about Jackie, but you must be at some points going, what the fuck has happened? I've lost Jackie. I've lost the job.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. So my wife was actually quite concerned because I didn't collapse and cry and weep at all, ever. Or even look lost out the window, you know, smoking cigarettes, looking out, gazing. It was really just because no one's going to save me. No one's going to show up to the rescue like this. And, you know, and I'm not trying to do the woe is me because I've earned a lot of money for a long time. But my first concern was my staff at the house and also at the business, because they didn't necessarily all work for the radio station. Some worked for me. Plus,
I get all that. I get all that, and you have been very loyal to them. But in your moments, I mean, you've lost someone who has been close to you longer than you've known most of the people who you work with.
Yeah.
From the Hot 30 days.
Yep.
Not only have you, in one way, lost your identity from being Sydney's #1 FM radio breakfast show, but you've lost that key person in your life with claims that she essentially hates you and can't stand you.
Yes, that's quite a rattling to the bone statement to make. And worse, if you're me, where the statement's being directed towards you, I just don't believe it. And I know that might be a complete, like, there'll be people at The Guardian like, oh, take a hint, fuckhead. You know, your hate, like, no, you don't know. I don't understand. I will never understand. Because the complete person I knew would never have not said anything. And I just don't know who she's got around her or what influences she's got. And the mind boggles. It's not just me, it's my whole family, all our joint friends that Jackie and I had together, our staff, that they all had their lives turned upside down. They're all blown away by that and totally confused and saddened, very saddened. It's like I described it to someone as it's like a death in the family. They were there, they were everything, and they're just gone. But you know she's not really gone, but we can't communicate, and you know she's got a big legal fight on her hands, and I've got to say it's not looking great for her. So her people made, what from the outside looking in, looks like they made like a lot of mistakes.
I agree.
And like
at one point I thought she might get
they're not even the top of the tree when it comes to legal people. It's actually a complete clusterfuck when you look at it. I wish I did.
I thought she might get a big payout, but looking at the detail, I think the fact that you were never approached by anyone and that she didn't push for a formal complaint, she does owe you a conversation. At the very least, she owes you a conversation, even if she believes everything that has been alleged.
Sure,
she owes you that conversation to tell you, because from a listener and a fan of Carl and Jackie O, it's confusing.
Very.
It's so confusing.
And I've been confronted at every servo I'm at by people, males, females, all ages, young, old, tradies, lawyers, everyone. A lot of people very agitated at Jackie, and I have to calm them down, go, no. I won't have anyone speak to me badly about her. They seem as confused as I was. But I'm like, listen, it was obviously very real for her. It would never have got to this stage if it wasn't real. It's not made up. Whatever she's feeling is obviously true. Regardless of whether I can understand it or not, that means nothing to someone else's truth. And one day we will be able to talk openly, and no doubt we'll be both in tears face to face with each other. But I just do wish her the best. And I have said, and it's not like a stunt, that there'll be a chair for her if she ever wants to join as a guest or ever wants to come back. But that's a stretch at the moment, but you never know. You never know. You know, who would have ever thought that this would have happened? But
That'd get the subscribers up, mate.
Yeah, it would too. Yeah, it would.
Yeah. One quick thing before I move on to the new streaming service.
Yep.
Melbourne. Do you regret how you treated the Melbourne market?
No? What do you mean?
Well, I'm sorry. I think there's a couple of problems with Melbourne. And it's funny, of all people, you're going to laugh at this. I get the inspiration for what I'm about to say from Beverly McGarvey, the head of Channel 10.
Oh, yes.
It was the one clever thing she ever said to me.
Right.
When they were launching I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here on Channel 10, she said to me, it's been going for 15 years or whatever it was at that time in the UK. We're not going to do what they're doing now. We're going to introduce it into the Australian market with the concepts and ideas and the challenges that they were using in the first seasons, because then you evolve. And when I think about your show, I think about the fact we had 20 years of you and Jackie O, and we built up, I don't want to say resistance, but you get what I mean. Like, you know, you started with playing by ball, then sensors and all these elements built up, right? And you've gone into Melbourne at season 20.
I get you. They haven't grown with the show.
Correct.
Yeah. But what were we meant to do? Do a dulled down version so Melbourne can slowly glue on at the detriment of the people that have listened to us for years?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know what? And we didn't really, we probably went a bit edgy, to be honest with you, a bit too quick. Even Duncan Campbell and co have said we went too strong too fast. However, why Duncan didn't bring it up in the first 6 months, I don't know, since that was their job. But the moment they did bring it up with me, we pivoted immediately. Contrary to popular belief,
well,
I'm
then
not
they took
very
their time
difficult
then.
to it. Well, I don't know what the fuck they were worried about or what they were doing. And they've done the same with the Sydney market here. They're letting it erode down to nothing before they're going to start again. That people don't learn from their mistakes. So, you know, it's just a tragedy that we've got TV clowns running radio stations and they think that you can put anyone in and it's going to work. It's going to bottom out. It's going to. It's not even bottomed out yet. So the worst.
I just wanted on the record, this TV clown has worked in radio and loves radio.
you, not you. I'm talking management.
No, I know who you're talking about. I just wanted to make the point. Hey, I have to ask you about this, and then by the way, just for the record, I was going to ask about the streaming service first, but you're the one who went on to other topics, all right? So
that's fine. That's fine. That's no worry. I'm happy to do whatever. A mixed bag I'm happy with.
On Friday, it was announced you're stepping away from Australian Idol because of the ongoing campaign by the Mad Witches.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. But the Telegraph is reporting it was Seven who made the decision not to renew your contract because of revenue fears. I have also heard those claims. What is the truth? Give it to me.
Well, I could only tell you from my side is that Margella called Bruno and said we have some issues from last year and it seems to be raising its head again with these mental activists. And that's causing a problem in the sales team. And I'm on a different deal than Master and Amy, so I'm on a network deal, so I'm paid every month, and I think the ladies are paid during the execution of the show.
They're on a run of show contract.
Yeah. My deal's I think up in September, and they were like, because Master and Amy had re-signed and told me, and I was like, oh, that's good because my deal wasn't up until September, end of September, Then Marge was having a chat to Bruno, my manager, about these activists and blah, 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 and what are we going to do here? And I just said to Bruno, just pull the pin on this whole thing. Like, I don't want anyone else to lose their job. Now, whether they had also had those discussions at Channel 7 and said, you're going to have to fucking get rid of this guy, that may be the case. But from my point of view, it was definitely, I'd said to Bruno, we're just going to pull out of this. Like, they want to do the auditions in October. We're only just about to start this new season. It's exhausting to do both shows as it is because I'm up at 4 a.m. and still not in bed till 1 a.m. It's not a lot of sleep for a fat porpoise like me. I need a lot of rest. And at one stage when I first did the big radio contract, I was going to ditch the Idol contract anyway because I wanted to commit to the one medium. And it is, as you get older, it is more difficult and it is a lot of hours. And sometimes I'd get unwell because, overweight, high blood pressure, big fat old prick. See? Anything can happen at any stage with me and it just comes out. So sometimes a year ago, as I was saying, I was going to maybe pull the pin on it, but did it again. So as soon as there became like, oh, there might be some problems here, and I thought, oh, they're going to try and cheapen the contract, and I haven't really asked for a pay rise in 16 years, even though because it was outrageous what I was already on. So didn't ask for one, and I just thought do I really want to, go through this shit again with these left-wing militant terrorists, corporate terrorists is really what these lunatics are. If you have a look into what these people believe in and you want to follow them, then you're a disgusting human being, just like these people are. And none of the other media will talk about it because they're all too scared. The Telegraph is scared. News.com is scared because they started off, MFW was Murdoch Free World, is what it originally started as. Then, once they harassed Murdoch and harassed him and they didn't like his politics, it started off Mad Fucking Witches. We're going to clean up all the airways. What with that name? You stupid. It's stupidity. These are dumb, stupid people that are fed their news from Facebook trolls, and they hate everything. They're extreme left-wing, you believe what we believe or we'll destroy your mentality. Now, I've got strong opinions as well, but there's not 1 inch of my soul ever, or will I ever, want to destroy someone's entire life because they don't agree with what I agree with politically. You're a fucking terrorist in the corporate world. You're disgusting. Your hate is fueling other people's hate. Your lies are making people lose their jobs. Gay people, women, people in media. I don't care. I'll survive forever. I got plenty of coin. But what about the 30 people that lost their jobs because you chose to lie to people and pretend that I was some hate mongerer that needed to be silenced? These witches are disgusting. If I could tell you what I know about them personally, her husband, her mental son, people would be shocked. But I'm not that sort of person. I don't want to ruin their lives because we have differences of opinion. You want to be a hater and live in that world of hate and delusion? Go off and be a purple-headed fuckhead. I don't care. Your day will come. You only get so much string before you hang yourself. And these people, they will hang themselves because they're hateful and they're disgusting and they're lunatics. They are corporate terrorists. And if you don't agree with what they say, I got a call on the weekend from Dave Hughes. Now, Hughesy and I aren't even that close. Hughesy rings me only on the weekend just gone. Mate, who are these fucking mad witches? They're trying to deplatform me now because I dared got on and say some stuff about Albo. These people are horrible people. And they're out there tricking corporations into not advertising so what you can believe their lunatic purple head ways. Well, good luck. That's not going to last forever. And people that are extreme left and threaten other people, it never really works out for you in the long run. People aren't dumb. People make up their own mind. At the moment, a lot of these big media companies are dumb. They will lose their big golden goose tickets to appease what appears to be a huge group of people, but really it's only a couple of dusties out in the bush pretending to be millions of people. There's only 12 of them, not millions.
Legacy media is living in fear. That's the problem.
And that's ridiculous because you can't be living in fear. That's why media are always lying to people. That's why you have to watch CNN and Fox News and Al Jazeera to figure out between the three people. Oh, yeah, you tell the truth. You are finally one of the very few that are saying this group of people think this, but guess what? This group of people think that. You only get one delivery and it's all left-wing bullshit, CNN, twisted mental rubbish, and a lot of people are being held back from the truth. I'm not saying I'm always right. I've been wrong many, many times. But being full of knowledge from news services, I expect that's the least that we would expect from our news services. Our 6 o'clock news bulletins, I can't tell you how often I'm watching half a story being told to all the audience. So we're being manipulated by only getting half a story. The news should be the news.
If you watch what's going on, there's actually not much need for the 6 p.m. news, and it's so condensed, and I've actually started losing interest. I want to make something clear. I have invited the Mad Witches onto this show. We got close, but they chickened out.
Have you got them here now?
No, I
that would have been the best
for a chat.
And what they've declined?
Geez, that would be ratings gold. Could you imagine?
bro, that
Carl,
would have
I'd
been-
like to bring in the
I
Mad
actually got
Reach.
excited then. I actually got a half a heart on then. I'm thinking, you fucking ripper. Here we go.
All right, let's talk the streaming service.
Yeah.
It's finally here. It launches Monday. How is everything going?
Well, you look upstairs right now and you think, they're going to be ready when? Because there's ladders, there's signage, there's painters, there's artists up there painting on gold leafing onto walls. We've got production meetings going on. So I've had interview after interview after interview. I almost feel like I felt I was starved from the audience for so long, and now I feel like I've blown the whole load in the pre-interviews.
Well, certainly here you have. What's the subscription take-up been like?
We're into the tens of thousands, so there's a couple of $1 million in the bank, and there was zero in it 2 weeks ago when we opened the bank account. And they're going, and we haven't started the show yet. So, and 68% are females, which was not that much of a surprise to us because we've always been quite female skewed, and that's exciting to me because I know that. Men like me will leave it to the last minute and go, oh, fuck, is it on now? I better, and it'll uptake again from Monday.
That's true,
so I'm
actually.
pretty happy with that.
I was worried about the $99, I've got to be honest, because...
Oh, what, you scraping money together to pay it?
Mate, I'm scraping money just to keep this show on the air.
You got that ring there. How much can you get for that ring?
This is my wedding ring.
Hey, it's the quick and the dead. It's the quick and the dead. You can always hock it, pawn it.
It's all right. Bruno sorted me out anyway. My point being that it is easier for consumers to come on for like $7, $8 per month. You've actually taken a gamble, which sounds like it's paying off, asking people to pay $99 up front for a year.
Yeah, we did have a big discussion about this. Bruno's like, maybe you should do it by month. And I said, how on earth am I going to do the balance to hire staff and commit to this project based on who's spent too much money getting drunk this month? I said, we have to do the whole year thing. And he goes, what about the poor people? I said, well, a little bit less meth each week and you'll be able to afford it. We can't spoon feed every
Meth or Kyle?
It's the same feeling at the end of the day anyway. But I said, I said, look, it'd be nice to, and someone, a friend of mine said, mate, I can do 4 payments to get the AbMop Pro from Danos Direct. Why do I have to pay all up front for you? And I said, well, God, we've just started this thing, so maybe there is a payment scheme. Or I said, but to be able to put together what we want, we're going to have to see what the appetite is. But within 2 weeks to have $1.7 million in the bank from subscriptions, and a strange large number coming out of the European Union, enough for their version of the tax department to contact our accountants to find out if we were a legit company or who we actually were, because stuff was coming out of Ireland and Hungary and all these weird places, and I was like, that was unexpected. Canada and
wow,
it's like super fans obviously that have picked up and are following the stuff on socials. And we have to be able to put this thing together as a budget. I can't be passing the bowl around each week to try and keep this thing running. Like, these people have their own mortgages, have their own homes, their own families, their own dreams. And for me to be able to expect them to commit to me, I had to be able to commit to them financially for a long term.
That makes perfect sense, actually. And what are you going to do when you're not available to host? I'm right here, but whatever you want to do, that's fine.
Oh, Rob, I've never even thought of that. But you're a pleasure to watch. I'd be a bit worried though, actually, because you're actually quite a handsome fella. Now, if I was a homosexual, the things I'd do to you.
You're such a liar and a flirt, but I love it and I'll accept it. It'll even make me have a drink.
Oh, look, I've actually just had all of that. Cheers, Rusty. You got to say, Russell Crowe is a good bloke, just so you know. Have you ever spoken
I'm sure
to him?
he'll be on the show. But seriously, what are you going to do when you're away? Is this a proposition where the show will continue even on the days you're away?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that you can't tell by looking at me because you've said nothing, but I've lost about 13 kilos. I thought.
Well, Kyle, you were turning my head, so you know.
How many drinks do you have to have before I start looking good to you?
A few more. No.
Thanks for your honesty. I must admire that. But I think at the end of the day, I just wanted to bring everyone here. The show's going to be very similar to the last show, except there'll be no Jackie, obviously, which is a shame. And no ads, but music and the same tomfoolery in the band.
Why are you doing music?
I didn't want to do a talkback. I've never been a huge fan, and I've got to pay the same rates that the radio station pay to do that music.
This is my point.
But I don't mind.
I'll tell you, when my wife, Amanda, who's switching the show, and I used to drive to work when we were living in Sydney, and we'd listen to you and Jackie O in the morning, when the music came on, I'd turn over because I wanted to hear you guys. So
I do understand that. I do understand that. But we don't have to play the songs. Like I've scheduled for 4 an hour, which is fuck all. Yeah. But they're not mandatory. So if we're on a good vibe and we're humming, if I don't need to catch my breath, there'll be no songs.
I guess it is a toilet break and it is a smoko.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but the older I get, those shits, they take longer. I used to run in and out quick as a teenager. Now I've got to take a magazine, I've got to take the phone, got to have plenty of charge.
Mate, I do an hour live every night.
Well, do you use the wet ass wipe things, or are you still drying it? Dry paper?
Because they're bad for the environment. And I'm not a...
Fuck the environment. I'm
not a climate guy, but they're also bad for your toilet bend.
Well... Listen, I just spent $60,000 last week, 60, ripping up all of the shit pipes from my backyard, and whatever a trap is, that sounds like a big steel thing full of poo in the backyard. So it all of a sudden to come up.
Because of your flushable wipes.
Yeah, that's what they said, the arse wipes. And I said, well, put bigger pipes in. I'm not walking around with a dirty arse because you don't want to clean those pipes. So they cleaned them out, they derooted them, they put a skin inside of them, and they fixed the trap, and we're shit smell free at my place. And I'm flushing those arse wipes down the toilet by the handful. The greatest invention ever in humanity.
It's so weird, but I actually remember you talking to Will Smith about the flushable wipes.
Yes.
I remember that conversation.
And we were all like, we were like, what do you mean? What is this futuristic arse wipe thing you talk about, Will Smith? And he was right. The moment I wipe my arse with the wet wipe, I go to try and dry it with the thing, and it's just so peasant-like. It feels like you're back in the caveman days.
The thing that I remember him saying, he said, I'll do you a challenge. You wipe as much as you want with your toilet paper. You get out one of those wet wipes and you see what still comes out.
That's right. You got half a Mars bar hanging out of that thing. Like, it's shocking. And all do it. You should do a segment on here, get him to video it and send it in.
All right, done. The streaming service is kslive.com.au. Kyle Sandilands, it's always a journey. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's fantastic. You were the first I spoke to, and now the last until the broadcast on Monday. It's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Ciao.